Welcome back to Blockbusters, everyone. Well, Matthew Gunther right now has $37,500 to his credit, and Chris Mayfield has $400, and he needs to win this game in order to continue on in hopes of trying to get to the gold run. Let's load the board for round 2, please. And in this game, you can see that our champion now has the advantage. Matthew can do it in as few as 4. Chris now needs to do it in as few as 5. And let's show the home audience the secret home viewer letter on the board, please. Alright, they've seen it. Alright, we'll see what happens if and when we come to it. What letter are we starting this game with? The letter H. Okay, here we go. What H can result in a loss of virility if you dream about losing it? Matthew's going to try it. Hair is the right answer. Goodness me. Chris, it seems like he's getting your work cut out for you. Matthew, where to? Chris, he's on fire. Don't let it intimidate you. Don't let it intimidate you. What A was the wicked biblical king of Israel who was married to Jezebel, or was the captain obsessed, Chris? With Moby Dick. Ahab is the answer. Wow, Chris, now you're starting to get into it here. Well, where to? Darn you, Chris. Darn you. Whoa, wait a second. That's a relief at least. It's the home first secret block. Wow. Chris, I think you might get into something here. Who's on that postcard? Alright, David. It's your chance to get into some big money here. Chris, you will get this whole question to yourself. I will read it in its entirety, and if you are correct, you won't only get the capture, but we will send $500 to David Brantley, and he will be entered in the big jackpot chance at the end of the tournament, only a few weeks away. But if you don't answer correctly, at least we have a Blockbusters t-shirt for David. So David, hold on to something tight. Chris, listen carefully. Here's your question. Answer begins with K. Possible $500 and chance at the big-time jackpot for David Brantley. What K was originally used as an artillery training center in World War I and is presently a fort where no visitors are permitted to see the bulk of the U.S. gold supply? Knox is right! Congratulations, David Brantley! $500 and a chance to win in the home viewer jackpot gold run at the end of the tournament. And Chris, not bad at all. You got a capture, and you get to choose where to go next. The letter Z. Wow. I'm going to try and anchor on the left on one of the most rarely used letters, I must admit. Answer starts with Z, and here's your question. What Z was killed in a fire at the mental institution where she was a patient, is a popular set of video games, and was the wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald? Chris again. Zelda is right. I'll tell you what, I love those games of Zelda, all the way back to my childhood memories, all the way to today. Where to, Chris? Okay, he's not quite there yet, but it'll be 4/5 along. Matthew, looks like he's making it even here. What E is a green jewel that was named, Chris? Again, you're right! Chris, I'll tell you what, you come thrashing in here like there's no tomorrow. Full question, what E is a green jewel that was named for a city in the Wizard of Oz Emerald? The answer. Well, Chris, look at where you are. Where to, may I ask? He also could have gone to the Y, since that's another chance right there, but that makes no difference, because if he gets this question right, he will tie the match up at a game apiece, and we will go to a tiebreaker. Matthew, don't let it intimidate you. Here is the question. Answer begins with T, with a possible game victory for Chris Mayfield, our challenger. What T is named after the river that separates England from Scotland? Matthew, for the block? That's another good guess, but it's not correct. I repeat it now for Chris, and it's a tied-up match possibility. What T is named after the river that separates England from Scotland and is a rough, shaggy, woolen material? No guess there, I see. The answer was tweed. Tweed was the answer. Okay, well, another T question, again up for grabs. Remember, Chris, you needed to tie the match up. What T was the type of bark that Pongo used to communicate? Matthew? Twilight is right, and you blocked it! Good game. Type of bark that Pongo used to communicate to other dogs in 101 Dalmatians, the Twilight bark indeed. Well, Matthew, you temporarily blocked Chris's connection, lengthening this game. Where to? Trying the letter L. Okay, now you can see what he's doing. Matthew's trying to connect to the top and then work his way around and try to keep Chris from connecting. Ironically, that's the only way it's going to have to happen from this point forward in this game. Alright, now, Matthew's focused on aiming at the top. We'll see what happens as I ask this question in which the answer begins with an L. What L precedes Eagle, Star, or Ranger? Chris. Lone is the right answer. So now, Chris, you've got it back. Where to? As if I didn't know. So now, Matthew, you've got to block it again if you want to keep Game 2 alive. What Y is a language composed of Hebrew, German, and Jewish? Matthew again. That's it! Truly a remarkable game right here. I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Matthew, where to? Okay, he's now trying the bottom, avoiding the top, and I can see why. Answer begins with an N. What N was discovered in 1932 by an English scientist and is the part of an atom that has... Chris? Exactly right! Wow! Would you have guessed that, Matthew? Well, that wouldn't have been a bad guess, Matthew. The full question, what N was discovered in 1932 by an English scientist and is the part of an atom that has no electrical charge? Well, Chris, I have to admit that this is one good game in between you and Matthew. We'll take a small commercial break and we'll see if we can end this fabulous contest right after this.